I've gotten to this point in life, honestly, where if I need something done, I don't know, a home service would be like the classic example of stuff that I need done that I don't want to do. Like I actually like legitimately, it's so bad. I'm going to say this in public, but there's only 8 people who are going to hear this. So I don't like to cut my lawn. I don't. So I pay somebody else to do it. And I got it quoted, and then there was a price. And old me a while ago would have said, well, dang, that price is just too much. I guess I'll just buckle up and cut my lawn. And then new me, like my new vibe is somebody quotes this price and I go, damn, that's kind of high. And then I think about doing, I'm like, I don't want to do it. I'll just pay it. And then I go, damn, those guys are good. They know. And I'm like, kind of like in a weird way, almost kind of sort of proud of them because they can charge this price that I don't really want to pay. But the reality is I'm going to pay it because I need it. And they somehow figured out that perfect point of like, that kind of sucks, but like, I'm going to pay it anyway. And if you can figure out how to price your business like that, damn, I don't go like, damn, capitalism. Wow, these greedy bastards. I go, wow, they really figured out. I'm like kind of jealous. I'm kind of like, that's cool. Nice. Every time I pay too much for something, I go, they're doing something right. $18 margaritas, doing something right. Because people are freaking buying it. Here is the reality. The market is like capitalism, the market, whatever, the market. The market, which by the way, I would define the market, okay, as like anything that is traded or sold or bought. Okay. A restaurant being on the block for 20 years is proof that the market exists. Why? Because they figured out how to price their goods in such a way that people would buy them consistently for a little bit more than they cost. And people were happy to do that. I think I've said this before, right? Like the definition of a good transaction, a pure capitalist transaction. If I go to the grocery store and I buy a bottle of Coke for $1, I am happy to pay $1 for that because I get a bottle of Coke, which is something that I wanted. Grocery store is happy to take that $1 because they made more than they spent on that. That is the perfect transaction right there. And in theory, that's how every transaction is going to be. And in theory, the market, the universe of things that are bought and sold, goods and services, is always perfectly efficient. Because if something doesn't exist in a town, if there's a service that doesn't exist in a town, that means there's not enough demand for it. And eventually, if there's enough demand for it, it will exist. It will exist. There are companies, I'm just learning this, where you can go out and you can just rent monitors. You can rent a monitor. I can travel with my computer and then rent a monitor. Somebody will bring it to my hotel room. Do you know how much that service costs? You should look it up. It's very expensive. But how practical would it be for me to fly with a monitor? And depending on what I'm doing with that monitor, it might be very valuable for me to have that monitor when I'm traveling. Guess what? That service doesn't exist everywhere. But you know what? It exists in places where there's demand for it. You know how I know? You can look it up. You can look it up. And that is really interesting to me. Because would I like to rent this monitor for $200 a day? No. But do I need to? Yes. Sometimes, maybe. Is it worth it? Well, kind of. It is. If I'm doing something that really matters, yeah, it is. It's really interesting to see which services exist in certain places.